Hi, this is Jonathan again. I don't know whether you have experienced this before when you're playing, when you find that your guitar goes a little bit out of tune even though you tune it, and then as you go up, if you hit the 12th note or you hit the 7th or the 5th note, it is either flat or sharp. So these are called intonation problems. So if you're a player who's an intermediate player, professional player, you might want to skip this video. This is mainly for beginners as well as intermediate. So sometimes when we fret the guitar, even at an A chord, when you're doing an A chord, the 3rd string on the 2nd fret of the G string, the G string, the 2nd fret of the G string will tend to be sharp, and that will make the A chord sounds kind of funky. Yeah, and sometimes when you're doing like voicings up here, it sounds really weird. So this has a drastic effect on your playing, because somehow the guitar sounds just a little bit out of tune. That's the most irritating part. When it's out, you can tell it's out, and you can probably like retune it again, but it's like a cent or 2 or 3 cents flat or sharp, and they're so frustrating, for me at least. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do this, how to rectify this problem. Alright, so stick around. So in order to intonate your guitar, you need to have the proper tunes. So this is a Allen key, one of the smaller sizes. So you should find this in the guitar package. When you ship your guitar, you should have it in your package from the manufacturer. Or if you're buying a second-hand guitar, they mostly come with this. If not, you can always get one of these in a hardware store. It's not that hard to get. So what this does is that this adjusts the height of the saddle. As you can see, this adjusts the height of the saddle. So if you're going to bring up the saddle, you turn it clockwise, and if you're going to bring down the saddle, you turn it counterclockwise. So don't lose this key. Now the other thing that you need is a Phillips screwdriver. Now make sure that get the proper tools, because you do not want to strip out the screws at the back. You're going to do a lot of action over here. There's a screw back here, so there'll be a lot of counterclockwise and clockwise motion here. And there's a spring here, if you notice, if you can see later on. I will show you the close-up. There's a spring here. Alright. So this will more or less dictate how where your saddle is going to be at, either forward or backwards. So with the with the Phillips screw, you actually adjust how far it goes back, how far it goes forward. Right? So the tools are really important. Okay, to begin with, I'm going to take the first string as an example, the high E string. So if you had it all tuned up, and then when you fret it on the 12th fret, if it's in tune, that means your guitar is more or less intonated. But like I said before, it gets to be a pain when you're doing chord work down at G, open D and stuff like that. Then you find certain strings are out of tune. So you fret it on the 3rd fret with the note of G, as well as the 5th fret with the note of A. So when you look at the tuner, ideally they should be in tune, but most of the time it's either sharp or flat. So when you have a perfectly tuned high E string on the 12th fret, you have to decide whether you want to make it such a way that the guitar is actually playable when you are doing chord work. So in my case, what I do is I would more or less compensate it and average it out. So basic rule of thumb on how you do the basic intonation. Let's start on the 12th fret, right, the high octave E. Now with your tool, you can turn it clockwise so that this bridge will go back. As you tighten it, this bridge will go back. So of course, when you tighten this bridge, both the high E and the B will be affected, because like I said, this is a shared bridge, a shared saddle, for both strings. But in the case of individual saddles, you don't have to worry about that. So like I said, if you tighten it, your bring the saddle back. So if that's the case, you have to retune your strings again. In this case, the high E and B, retune it back to normal, and check again on the 12th fret. So if your 12th fret, if you fret it on the 12th fret and it's sharp, then you turn it clockwise. So like I said, I repeat, if it's sharp, turn it clockwise so that this saddle goes back. But if it's flat, you bring the saddle forward by loosening it. By loosening that screw here, you're loosening the springs, so the saddle would go forward. All right. So if it's flat, go forward. If it's sharp, go backward. So that's the rule of thumb. It's really simple. You can just remember it. If it's sharp, make it sharper. That's how I think of it. If it's flat, make it flatter. So so if it's flat, bring it forward. If it's sharp, bring it backwards. And you apply it on all 6 strings. So I hope you understand that. I hope it's clear enough. So if like I said, if you find that your 3rd fret or your 5th fret is terribly out, like it's really it's a whole lot of difference, then you have to, there's a whole lot of differences, then you have to more or less average it out, so that when you fret on the 12th fret, it's perfectly in tune. But if you fret it on the 3rd fret, it's a bit sharp, then you have to decide whether you want to have the 3rd fret a little bit more in tune. So in this case, if it's sharp, then you go back a little bit, just a little bit, because if you go back too much, then your 12th fret will be terribly sharp. So there's something to think about. Now in the case of a Stratocaster Bridge, it's the same. As you can see, these are all individual saddles. Alright, so again with the Allen key, you can actually adjust individually the saddle height of each individual saddles. So again, with the right tool, with the right Phillips screwdriver, same thing, tighten and loosen. So same with the Les Paul bridge, same with all the other guitars. As long as the saddles have all this, it works on the same principle. So I hope you get something out of this video on how to intonate your guitar properly. Now, like I said, you have to decide on whether you want to have your guitar play better on the lower register, or if you're just you're just keen on soloing on the upper register, then you have all this intonated properly. But then when you're playing chord works, it gets all screwed up. But again, that depends on the quality of your guitar. A good quality guitar will not have this problem because the wood is well constructed. The neck is of a good material. It would not warp. It would not turn, and you won't have this problem. And the other thing to consider, of course, like I said before, is the fret. Sometimes there's a fret just need refretting. So go and get your frets redone, and you'll probably see an improvement in your tuning and intonation. So I hope this video helped you, and if it does, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and if you want to, subscribe to this channel. So till I see you again, God bless. Bye.